his strength, particularly because you presume he's coming up a weight, he's not going to do, and then this monster turns up. So you know, I don't know where that all came from, but
you could tell from his ring walk coming in as well. He had his head switched on as well. He
brought 30 or 40 Scottish fans with him, and it made the atmosphere. And again, you know, some people have said to me, "Oh, were the judges against all the home fighters?" I don't believe that for a second, but there was some weird and wonderful things that go on, but that's what makes the sport so intriguing, because what is clear cut to me, and you're going home, you know, the Craig Dixon fight, you're going home annoyed because you're going, how the hell he was robbed, and then you watch it and you go, well, it was, I still think you win. I still maintain the fact that I thought Craig maybe nicked it by a round, but actually it was so close that how do you
it's one of those you wouldn't argue,
split hairs, and we would
but on the night you would have argued it.
I think so. I did. I think I screamed and effed and blinded and did all sorts. So, but you know, as I say, fair play to them. They did well, and I think, you know, that was the biggest disappointment for me. Not necessarily disappointment in Craig's performance, because I thought he performed really well, but I just think I would have loved to have been sitting here now plotting an English title for Craig, or plotting an opportunity. But that you know, gives us more time to work with things. And you know, as we proved in 2014, what we do is create opportunities. So Craig will get those opportunities. He will box, and I genuinely believe he'll win titles. So. Well,
I always bring up Johnny Nelson as an example, losing your first 3 fights as a pro and going on to be a world champion for 8 or 9 years or something. So there's nothing with that. So in terms of high points of 2014, what was there? Any particular? Does that be one? Any particular?
I think for me, watching John, Travis, Ronnie and Gary in the ring at the arena after John stopped Dawson, and watching them break the ring because they're jumping up and down and put the foot through the ring, that was for me one of the biggest. That's the reason I got involved in the company, because you can't buy that. You can't buy that feeling of elation. You know, you could see what it meant to John, what it meant to Travis, what it meant to Ronnie and Gary, and actually there's no amount of money that you could get paid that would give you that feeling. So that was the biggest, you know, high point for me, I think. I also think probably Travis stopping Danny McIntosh as well. You know, this European champion who'd mouthed off and was going to do this, that and the other to Travis, and Travis just made him look ordinary in 2 rounds. So I think those were really, really high points for me. Yeah, and actually, you know, I know I'm being political and saying all 3 of them, but it's hard to separate, because Travis doing that on Channel 5, Travis against Matty Clarkson
fight, which, if there's any...
It's not a high point, because I still couldn't watch it, because, you know...
well, when you're involved and you're engaged, you don't quite feel the punches, but...
Well, you see Ronnie just go white in the corner, and you think, where the hell... And for him to climb off, you know, Travis, if he'd boxed... and again, it's easy for me to say that, sitting here wearing a suit and not getting hit, but I think if Travis had boxed and not perhaps got carried away, then I don't think he would have taken the shots. It wouldn't have happened. The flip side of that is 2.6 million people wouldn't have tuned in to see it. It wouldn't have been, you know, British, you know, Fight of the Year. So I think
I've never seen anybody get up from successive body shots like that and turn it around.
And to watch Clarkson chase Travis around the ring and him wincing, but then for him somehow to get on top of him and stop him. I mean, like, I'm screaming at the telly. My missus is screaming at the telly. Like, I walked out because I just, you know, it was one of the again, just a sickening, horrible feeling, but then such a fantastic feeling for him to win.
It's probably less worrying. You know, I know what it's like when I'm watching boxers who I don't know compared to if I'm watching boxers when I know them. It's different when you're watching them, because there's that element of worry there inside you. I think when somebody goes down to body shots, it's less worrying in terms of from a health point of view, and you don't see them getting damaged and things like that.
I mean, you've got to look at the damage that we knew he was a big puncher, and it certainly wasn't underestimated. You get caught with a body shot, and it's zapping. So I think Travis showed what him and John are about, you know, the fighting lads, and you know, you're gonna have to kill one of those boys to beat them. Well, in some cases,
you're gonna have to keep them down.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. No matter what, you know, John showed that against
Courtney.
Against
absolutely.
Courtney. You know, you look at that fight, and a lot of people will throw all the negatives at it, but He stayed in that fight. He lost by a point. He got a point deducted when really we don't really know why that point was deducted. And he went 10 rounds with a top quality Olympian. So I think for me there's all those things, and the final highlight really was the Young Gun show. Was a small show. Wasn't as I think often John and Travis's successes and being on TV and Box Nation and Channel 5 were absolutely brilliant. But Craig Dixon getting his first 10-round fight in 2014, winning the international masters
headlining his first show,
and knocking his opponent over when everyone said Craig hasn't got any power. He showed
for the first time,
and he repeated that with Lee Mould again. Knocking him, almost knocking him over, I suppose, in the first round. So I think that's been a real positive, because you see, I'm not there day to day behind the scenes, but what they're doing in the gym. You know how hard and how dedicated they are to the strength and conditioning, to the work that they do it, with the boys here, and to see him put a couple of opponents down and develop in that area was good for me.
Because that's to a degree all he was almost like the final piece of the jigsaw. I mean, obviously we've found out after watching the Lee Mould fight, there's other pieces that still need to be put in there, but in terms of his overall package that he brings, all the skill, dedication, everything, background, Craig ticked every box, but because he wasn't knocking people over, knocking people out, that was the one thing that people were saying maybe that's missing.
Yeah.
But that's been eradicated now,
isn't it? Because what people want is Craig to drop his hands, go into a war, and either get knocked out or knock somebody out. It's not what you want for your fighter, because your fighter needs to win fights. But the problem is, if he doesn't win fights by knocking people out, he doesn't supposedly sell tickets. If he doesn't sell enough tickets, he doesn't get on the promotion. You look at Eddie Hearn and look at all the big promoters, they're still looking for ticket sales. It makes no difference whether it's a small hall show or a multi-million-pound show. They've got to be an attraction. And I think what Craig has now proved beyond all doubt is that he is an attraction.
Well, that's
if there's ever a rematch between that fight, I mean, what an interest that would create again for North East fight fans. So,
well, that fight would sell out a small hall show on its own.
Exactly. Whereas so I think when you ask, Fighting Chance Promotions has given that opportunity, provided that opportunity, and what we want to do with our lads is look at the boys are there to fight, the boys are there to train and do their work. We've got to do our job. We work for the fighters.
Yeah.
And our job, I believe, is to promote those, get them sponsorship, graft, and put as much work as they do in the ring, outside the ring, to try and create these opportunities and give them
one supplements the other. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah, and I think people like yourself doing stuff like this is massive for North East boxing, because the more people can talk about it and sing about it, then it can only be good for the sport, really.
Well, the thing is that I've seen the growth over the last 3-4 years of the pro scene in the region, and I really do see 2015 as we've mentioned on the text, but it was 2015 where the North East can move into the transition towards where Liverpool and Manchester have been for the last few years.
Yeah.
And I think this arena show, which takes us into 2015, you've got the guys fighting on the show on April the 4th.
Yeah.
On Sky Show.
John and Travis fighting. John will be fighting Stephen Simmons for the WBC International Silver title, which, if you look at John Lewis Dickinson, off the back of 2 losses, to be presented with an opportunity like that, and it wasn't just a case of being presented with an opportunity. There's a lot of things that go into the mix. But if Eddie Hearn picks up the phone to Ronnie and offers him an opportunity, the job is to put that to the fighter, and the fighter has to make the decision. So, people may say that, well, why is John taking that fight? Should he not be doing this? Should he not be doing that? At the end of the day, we still believe that John is a top level fighter. He's got to go out and prove that.
He's still only 28.
Yeah, and if he goes and beats Stephen Simmons, then the last 2 losses...
The landscape's exactly...
You get caught clean by Oval McKenzie or Courtney Fry or any cruiserweight in this division, and it's dangerous. And if you look at John, he's outboxed 12, 14 opponents.
Yeah.
He's beaten some top quality operators, some very, very good operators, and I think we've got every faith that John can beat Stephen Simmons. It's a big fight, it's a big challenge. He's got time to prepare, and
he's still unbeaten, Simmons, isn't he?
Yep. Yeah, I think he's 12 and
12.
something like 4 or 5 KOs. But Good pedigree, good pedigree. But again, it's like, you know, again, we're there to be shot at. So John goes and beats him. What a fantastic job we've done.
Yeah.
If John doesn't beat him, then we're terrible. So
I think, but when John's already won the British, he's already won it outright.
Exactly.
The prize fight, that gave him the extra exposure, which was great. But it's like
4 or 5 months ago, Stephen Simmons is chasing John for a fight because John got the British title. And don't forget, you know, John won that British title outright. There's not many people that do that. So, but that's gone, that's done. And actually now, we still want to push John on for major titles. And we just, a couple of setbacks. I do think the Courtney Fry fight really, again, like Travis, showed his mettle, showed his determination to get back into the fight when he looked out of the fight in the first couple of rounds. But
even just getting through the first round.
Yeah, and to recover his senses and get back on top and then boss the fight in the last 3 or 4 rounds and almost have him out a few times was, you know, very, very heartening, I suppose. But I think there's a lot more from John to come. I think there's things that can adapt and change, and I think it's really positive.
And has Travis got a opponent yet?
On Matchroom to speak to Ronnie and offer opponents. Obviously, Travis has got to come back from the ankle injury as well. So, which was a bit of a palaver in 2014.
He's going to be hungry when he gets back, though. That's for sure.
And dangerous, very, very dangerous. I mean, Travis, the whole McHennessy Bob Adjasaf scenario was a real sickener, and probably thinking on it was probably worse than some of the things I mentioned previously. But it happens.
But it happens.
He was genuinely badly injured. We didn't realise how bad it was. It was a compound fracture, and it is what it is. I mean, we did everything. We took him to the sports injuries clinic. We paid for scans. We had him in to see 3 different physios, Olympic standard physios, and you know, our physio diagnosed what he thought it was, and the MRI scan confirmed that. I think we've said it on camera before, and people can say we didn't do anything. What we tried to do was make sure that Travis was fit to fight, and we genuinely didn't know until pretty much the Thursday that he wasn't fit to fight. So, you know, I think Mick Hennessy took umbrage to the fact that I think Ronnie had said we were aware there was an injury on the Saturday. You know, Travis pulled up in training on Saturday with a little niggle. You don't go back to their management. Well, you get
niggles in the build up the fights all the time.
Yeah, should we have spoken to their management team and said, oh, by the way, Travis got a little injury, why don't you target that? So, you know, we didn't, at the time, we dismissed it and didn't think anything of it, and we were just working. Unfortunately, it got progressively worse. He was still, had a little rest on the Saturday, trained on the Sunday, trained on the Monday, trained on the Tuesday, but then really struggled. And then by the Wednesday, was in a lot of trouble, and that was when we started running around like madmen and trying every weird and wonderful motion to get him there. But at the end of the day, he was fighting for a British title. He's still mandatory for the British title. I think the stewards have put out for Travis, Mick Hennessy has got the promotion, so if Adjasaf wants that fight, then that can happen, I suppose. But as it stands, that's not in our thought process now, because Travis is boxing on the arena on the 4th of April for an Intercontinental title, and yes, he would like the British title, and he will beat Bob Adjasaf, but ultimately
he's got to fight in between until that happens.
And we're not really bothered if Bob Adjasaf says he's going to vacate and go to do whatever he does and take his phone box full of fans to wherever, then he can do that, and we'll
get Matty Clarkson back in.
So you know, for us, Travis's sights aren't set on the British. The British title's an iconic belt, and you want to win it, but we want Travis to win a world title, and actually we believe that he can win a world title. Quite clearly, it's all about timing, and you're not going to push him to fight for a world title in 2 or 3 months. But I do think that maybe in the next 18 to 24 months, as long as he continues to progress, learn, develop in the way that he is,
hopefully stay injury free.
There's no reason why he can't get to that level. So, you know, we've Sky Sports presented the opportunity, gave us the chance, and let's see what happens on the 4th of April and see where we go from there, really.
And obviously, just mentioned 2015 again. You've obviously got a couple of new signings into the camp as well. Yeah,
delighted to have Paul O'Hagan and Andy Buchanan. Very different in terms of, you know, Andy Buchanan has worked with Ronnie for a long, long time as an amateur, and it's nice to rekindle that kind of relationship again. And for me, really, really pleasing to have Andy in, because I think it's about giving him a chance and giving him the opportunity, getting him boxing and making sure he actually gets paid to box is a key. And I do think with his ability, he can go on and win domestic level titles.
Well, after that 8-year gap, and obviously when he made his comeback, I've said it before, I think I'm his biggest fan in terms of, because he's just so good to watch.
Yeah.
These combinations,
technically fantastic. And I think what you've got with Paul O'Hagan is somebody who has got a lot to develop and learn, but will run through a wall for you. Is you know, I don't see that side of things. Ronnie sees that, and Gary sees that. But you know, such a lovely lad, such a committed lad, will do anything you ask of him, and that's what's massively important. And again, I think with Ronnie and Gary, he can't help but improve. If he's got John and Travis around him, if he's got Andy Buchanan around him, what a fantastic gym, what a fantastic place to train. And with the contacts that Ronnie's got, Ronnie can pick up the phone to any major international fighter, because he's been with all, you know, you mentioned Amir Khan, he's been with them as amateurs, he knows everybody, everybody knows Ronnie. So whatever happens, Paul will get the very best sparring, the very best training and the opportunities. And again, we won't rush those opportunities with Paul, because there's things we need to look at and develop. But
well, he's raw.
We'll see where
he's very raw, Paul, but he can take a shot, he can give a shot. And
it's a great project. It's a great project to develop him alongside the likes of John and the other boys. And you know, what's to say in 2 or 3 years' time that he could win an English title, he could win a British title, he could, you know, we might stick him in prize fighter, who knows. We'll have a third prize fighter champion. So I think, you know, I think Paul's a great addition to the team, and it's nice now when you come in the gym, there's a bit of a buzz about the place, because the lads are going to feed off each other, and you know, the more quality fighters we've got in the stable, the better, really.
And obviously it's all about getting the great quality in and getting the right additions in, but are you looking to get any more new additions over the next year or so?
We don't proactively chase anybody, because at the end of the day, we are what we are. We're Fighting Chance Promotions. We're here in Gateshead. We've got one of the best pro boxing gyms you can ask for. Great facilities, fantastic people. So if people want to be part of the journey and come and work with us, then they know where we are. They can pick up the phone, they can message us. But probably, you know, we're fortunate to work closely with some of the amateurs as well. But you know, at the end of the day, it's all about the individual fighter coming in and making his fighting chance right for them. It has
to be the right fit.
And
timing.
We certainly won't be trying to sign 15, 20 fighters because we just want fighters. We'll be signing boys who we believe in and who we believe can give an opportunity to.
And who need a fighting chance.
So.
Champion, well, in that case.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'll take it along the journey, mate.